Summer is winding down, which means flu season is right around the corner. You may be prepping to go get your influenza vaccine soon. Most times when we receive our flu shot, we may experience some slight discomfort or pain at the injection site, which typically would go away within a few hours to maybe 1 or 2 days. Sometimes we experience more significant symptoms. You may have shoulder pain that persists and gets worse and leads to reduced range of motion quite quickly. You may go see a doctor for these symptoms, and the doctor, after examining you, may tell you you have something called frozen shoulder or adhesive capsulitis. And you may ask yourself if this could possibly be related to the flu shot that you received. And the answer is yes, it could be. You could be experiencing something called SIRVA, or shoulder injury related to vaccine administration. So what is SIRVA? SIRVA is an injury to your shoulder joint that's caused by an intramuscular vaccine. What we typically see is a diagnosis involving some sort of inflammation of your shoulder joint. So that could be bursitis, tendinitis. Quite often we do see a diagnosis of adhesive capsulitis or frozen shoulder. Typical signs of frozen shoulder is exactly what it sounds like. The pain that you experience in your shoulder leads to restricted or reduced range of motion. This is usually a pretty quick process. You start to have a locked shoulder joint and you can no longer reach above, behind, out in front, or out to the side. If you find yourself experiencing these types of symptoms, I would encourage you to go seek medical attention as soon as possible. It's the only way you're going to get properly diagnosed and get the right course of treatment. When you do see your doctor, you may describe to him or her that your symptoms started after you received a vaccination. However, it's unlikely that your doctors are going to reach the conclusion that you have SIRVA. I mean, there are doctors or physicians that are aware of SIRVA and may be able to see the signs of it. But more often than not, you're not going to be diagnosed with SIRVA. You'll probably be diagnosed with frozen shoulder or adhesive capsulitis. As far as treatment, the doctor will likely recommend some sort of conservative method of treatment to start, so physical therapy or cortisone shot injection or anti-inflammatory medications. If a course of conservative treatment does not work, it's possible that your doctor may want to try some sort of surgery. Remember, I'm not a doctor. Whether you have frozen shoulder or adhesive capsulitis and the right kinds of treatment for you is going to be determined by your doctor. So again, I'd strongly encourage you to go to your doctor if you're experiencing any of these symptoms. As far as whether you have a viable SIRVA claim in the Vaccine Injury Compensation Program, that will come down to certain criteria that we look for when we do our consultation. So if somebody calls us and tells us that they received a flu vaccine and now they've been diagnosed with frozen shoulder, there's certain questions that I'm going to ask during our consultation. I'm going to ask you when your pain started, because in order to properly allege a SIRVA claim, we need to know whether your pain started within 48 hours of the vaccination. I'm going to confirm that you didn't have any shoulder pain or injuries prior to the vaccination that could explain why you're currently having your symptoms. I'm going to confirm that you received your vaccine within 3 years of our consultation, because the statute of limitations on these claims is 3 years from the date of your injury. And finally, I'm going to confirm that your symptoms have persisted for at least 6 months. This is called the severity requirement, and we cannot file a case unless we can prove that your shoulder injury symptoms have persisted for at least 6 months. After completing the consultation, if we decide that you do have a claim and we want to pursue it on your behalf, the next steps would be gathering all the evidence that we need. So we'll be requesting all your medical records, we'll be working with you on an affidavit, and we'll be preparing your petition so that we can file it with the U.S. Court of Federal Claims. Once the claim has been filed, we will be monitoring the claim as it makes its way through the Vaccine Injury Compensation Program. First, it will be reviewed by the court to ensure that we filed everything we're supposed to file. Next, it will be reviewed by the government, a member from the Department of Health and Human Services. We'll review your evidence and we'll make an initial determination whether you qualify for compensation. Now, if they reach the conclusion that you don't meet the criteria for a SIRVA claim, the claim will be considered disputed by the government, but that does not signal the end of your case. That simply means that the court will now have to determine whether you're entitled to compensation and possibly how much compensation if we can't reach some sort of settlement with the government to avoid litigation. As far as the damages or compensation that is available in the program, we typically pursue any pain and suffering damages And this will be determined on the extent of your injury and treatment for SIRVA. We also seek any out-of-pocket medical expenses that you incurred. So anything that you actually paid out of pocket that wasn't covered by insurance can be reimbursed. And then finally, there's also lost wages that can be provided if we can prove that you missed time from work because of your SIRVA injury. There are three general ways in which these claims can come to a resolution. If the government doesn't find any reason to dispute your claim, they may offer you what they consider to be full value of your compensation, and you may find that to be acceptable, and that's one way for your claim to conclude. If the government disputes your claim, but still offers you some sort of settlement amount that you find acceptable, that's another way for your claim to conclude. And then finally, if we can't agree with the government on the value of your case, we can, like I said, get the court involved and proceed with litigation. In that scenario, the court may be determining whether you're entitled to compensation, and they may be determining how much compensation to award you. This is just an example, though, of why it's important to have an attorney when you navigate this program. There's no better reason to hire an attorney because it's free in this program. At the end of your case, the attorney is going to file his own fee petition and seek his own fees and costs. It's a separate determination, a decision from whether you get money for your injury and how much you get for your injury. If you've been experiencing shoulder pain after a vaccine and you want more information either about SIRVA or the Vaccine and Injury Compensation Program in general, you can text us. Just text us SIRVA to 312-847-2428 and we will ship you a copy of this book. If you believe you've been injured by a vaccination, I'd invite you to give us a call for a free consultation. Our number is 312-578-9501.